4 years ago, Ayelet entered the Justice Ministry with a storm and left last week after quietly leading something that could be called a legal revolution in Israel. We're fortunate to have her with us today and are hoping to maybe get an answer to one of the great mysteries of this new election cycle. Will she run, and if so, in which party? Please join me in welcoming Israel's former Justice Minister Ayelet, who will be interviewed on stage by my good friend Dana Weiss, one of Israel's leading journalists and host of Channel 2 News primetime show, Saturday Night News with Dana Weiss. Dana, Ayelet, please.
Thank you, thank you. If everyone could vote here, right? It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for joining me on stage, Ayelet. How are you doing these days?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, a lot of thinking, right? You know, people rarely get a second chance, and you got a God-sent second chance in politics. Have you made a decision?
It depends who you ask. If you ask my husband, it's not really a gift. So it really depends who you ask. No, not yet. I think that, this current election are a huge challenge for the right camp, and we all need to act in a responsible way. I'm going to take this decision based on what I just said, and I hope that all the right leaders will do the same.
But it's true to say that you are going to run in these elections. That decision has been made.
Probably, yes.
And can you say for sure that it won't be with your former partner, Naftali Bennett?
Not at all. Naftali Bennett and I are partners for many years. We are ideological partners, and I think we did a revolution in the Israeli politics. When we entered the Knesset, it was well known that a Palestinian state will be established. Today, everyone talking about annexation. We did some huge stuff, and I hope that we will be able to work together in the future.
So you're not ruling out running with him together?
No, not at all.
And the Likud party, is that
okay,
dream has
now
been
we are
closed?
trying to...
I'm just asking what everyone in the crowd... Don't you want me to go on asking, trying to figure out where she's going? I'm doing what the crowd wants me to do.
I caught you on time.
No, but really, I just want, if you had your first priority, would it be to enter the Likud?
No, I'm not going to enter. Then I had an agreement.
No, I'm asking the questions here. But, so I understand you're running?
Yes.
So all the options are on the table except Likud?
All the options are on the table, and I'm saying that those elections are critical and and it's a huge challenge for the right camp.
So talking about the right camp, you mentioned Naftali Bennett. We saw that meanwhile, what's happening in the right is all but responsible. There are fights between the United Party and between Naftali Bennett, and he wrote a very emotional post this week actually saying, we were wrong, and I don't want to go back to the United Right Party. Would it be fair to say that you would go back if you could?
Naftali Bennett wrote a post from the bottom of his heart. If you read it, you saw that he really spoke with, I will say, even some of the hurt in his heart about different issues and different topics. And I think that some of them maybe we should have talked to during the campaign, like that Orthodox girls are now going to the army, and we are totally support it. I think that every girl should have her own decision whether she wants to go to the army or to do a civil service, and other topics that are very important. And I think that, as I said, we should all be very responsible and get the right decisions.
But I just to finish this political attempt to get to understand where you're going, you are not ruling out going back to the Beit HaYehudi, to the Jewish home.
I'm not ruling anything that can help to create a big right bloc.
Okay. Talking about your campaign, so your campaign, you were saying that you were going to be very strong with the Supreme Court. That was the platform that you ran in the last elections. And here we see your successor, the new Minister of Justice, Amir Ohana, who on day one in his office gave an interview to my colleague Amit Segal and said that not all Supreme Court rulings and court rulings needed to be adhered. What do you think about that?
Israel is a democracy, it's not an anarchy, and it's belonged to a very exclusive club of 21 countries that were established as democracies in the beginning. And therefore, we have a very solid democratic tradition. Of course, that in a democracy, the government and the citizens should obey a court ruling, even if we don't like them or we don't agree with them. Actually, I, as a Minister of Justice, often criticize court ruling, and it's totally fine in a democratic country. But what I think we should do is just continue what I started to do and nominate conservative judges that will influence on the court ruling according to their view. You know, for many years in the United States, here in the United States, there was a debate on the table between the conservative and the liberals. In Israel, for many years, it was under the table. I put it on the table. I pushed to nominate conservative judges. When I entered the office, there was the Judge Solberg in the Supreme Court. It was almost a lone voice. Today is not alone, and the court is more diverse. I also think that in the next Knesset, we should push to legislate the basic law of legislation that include the override clause.
Yes, but I understand from you that you think that you don't agree with what he said. Now, after he said that, the Justice Chayut, the head of the Supreme Court, was very strong in saying what you just said, saying that these kind of remarks lead to anarchy. And Smotrich, a former member of your party, the Beit Yehudi, went all out against her, saying that it wasn't her role to criticize the incoming Minister of Justice. What do you think? Should she have said what she said?
I think that everyone, it's a free country. Everyone can say what he thinks if she's the president of the Supreme.
I know they can't. You think she did right? She was right in speaking out.
I'm not giving grades to the president of the Supreme Court. Everyone can say in Israel what he wants.
Okay. Let's talk about President Trump's efforts to solve the conflict. We'll hear shortly from his special representative, Jason Greenblatt, and I know we're all looking forward to hearing him. I wanted to ask you, one of the concerns of the administration were that if they would put the political part on the table while election, Prime Minister Netanyahu would have problems with Naftali Bennett, with you, with the right. So I want to know if, for you, any kind of solution that would be put on the table that gives something to the Palestinians, a no-starter for you to enter the coalition.
First, I want to say that I really appreciate President Trump's effort to make the Middle East safer and better. He made 3 strategic steps that we all should thank him for that. One is withdrawing from Iran deal. The second is moving the embassy to Jerusalem. And the third is, of course, recognizing the Golan Heights as a territory of Israel. And just for that, I want to take this opportunity to say thank you, President. I think that Jason Greenblatt will talk after this interview, so maybe you need to ask him details about the plan, because I don't know.
No, I'm asking you if it's going to be, in a way, a red line for you to enter any coalition, if indeed a deal is presented and there are concessions that Israel has to make. We know from previous statements from the administration that there are things that Israel will like and things that Israel will not like in the plan.
So I'm not talking about red lines because I don't know really the details. I can just say that I think there is a big opportunity that Israel, my view, I think that Israel should apply the Israeli law on Area C in Judea and Samaria. And I think there is... And I want to see opportunity in this plan.
So we heard the Ambassador Friedman, the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, in an interview to the New York Times, talk about a possible backing from the administration if Israel would to go ahead with annexing parts of Territory C. Is that something that you want to see done in this term? And we heard Prime Minister Netanyahu just say 2 days before the last elections that he will go ahead and annex. Do you believe that he will do that in this term if he's elected?
So I'll tell you a story. A few months before the presidential election, I was here in New York, and I went to a conference of the right channel, Arutz Sheva, a conference about applying the Israeli law on Judea and Samaria and talking about our historical rights in Judea and Samaria. And someone introduced me to David Friedman, and he told me, you know, if Donald Trump becoming a president, then this guy will be the ambassador. I said, you're kidding me. This is what I said, because I said, wow, this guy is a truly supporter of the settlements in Judea and Samaria. He helped to build Bethel. You really think that he's going to be the ambassador? And he told me, yes, wait and see. And actually, when he became the ambassador, I understand that there is a huge opportunity for Israel, and that President Trump is not tied himself to the old paradigm of the State Department. And therefore, I think that, yes, there is a really opportunity to apply the Israeli law on Area C or on part of Area C. And I hope that Prime Minister Netanyahu, when he said that he supported, I hope that it will happen.
Do you believe him when he says that he will work to annex those territories in his next term?
Yes, I hope that we will be part of the government and we will do it together.
Okay. So I want to ask you very quickly, when you say annexing Area C, if you can give us the end game. Is it part of Area C, all of Area C? Why stop at Area C? Why not all of the territories, all of the land until the river? What is your end game?
Okay, so the end game is Area C. Area C is 60%.
Only Area C.
Only Area C. Area C is 60% of Judea and Samaria, almost 500,000 Israelis, around 100,000 Palestinians. When we are talking to apply the Israeli law, we are talking only on Area C. Area A and B can be a confederation with Jordan in the future, with Gaza. You need to remember that in Jordan there are more than 50% Palestinians. So I know that right now it sounds not realistic because King Abdallah doesn't want, and there are other constraints, but we need to set the goals, and we need to set the goals according to what is good for Israel. And it's not good for Israel to have a Palestinian state in the heart of Israel.
We're running out of time. I just want to, and you're giving full rights to the Arab citizens also. And the Palestinians in Territory C, in your vision, are they full citizens?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So let's play a short game. We have 30 minutes. Ayelet Shaked, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I don't know.
In 5 years?
You saw in your eyes that in the political life you cannot know what will be tomorrow. So you ask me in 5 years.
And in a year?
Minister of Justice again.
You want to be Minister of Justice again. That's your goal. Prime Minister Ayelet Shaked?
Maybe in the future.
You have the appetite for it?
Let's wait and see.
You have what it takes?
Huh?
You have what it takes to be a Prime Minister?
Let's wait and see. It's too early. Thank you.
I tried my best. Ayelet Shaked, thank you so much.